So let's take a look at the problem set, class. Number 1 talks about calculating returns and variability. And you're told, using the following returns, calculate the arithmetic average returns, the variances, and the standard deviations for x and y. So I've written the steps here for you once again, just to remind you. Step 1, the first thing you do is calculate the mean or the average return. Step 2, you find the deviation from the mean. Step 3, you square the deviations. And then in step 4, you find the average of the squared deviations. So let's look at what I've done. First, I found the average. I simply added them up for x and divided by 5. A simple arithmetic average. And I got 0.084 or 8.4%. Then to find the variance, I wrote it down horizontally just to save space. These are my returns here. So step 2, find the deviation from the mean. So it's the return minus the mean or the average, which you calculated in step 1, plus the return minus the average. And remember, we have to square that. Step 3 says square the deviations. So you find the deviation, you square it, plus you do the same thing for the second return, same thing for the third return, same thing for the fourth return of negative 0.15, and finally 0.10 minus the mean of 0.084 squared divided by n minus 1. Remember from the slides, we had the formula for the variance when you're calculating it for a sample and you divide by n minus 1. So the variance for this is 0.0202, and to find the standard deviation, look, I have a post-it note here. The standard deviation is the square root of the variance. So when you find the square root of 0.0202, you get a standard deviation of 0.1422 or 14.22%. So this is for x. Let's do the same thing for y. First step, find the average. So you add your returns up for y. Take a look at the returns for y right here: 23%, 34%, 11%, negative 32%, and 21%. So you find the average. If you notice here, the average is 11.4% or 0.114. You find the deviation from the average, and then you square them, right? Find the average, find the deviation from the average, you square them, and then you find the average of the squared deviations. And remember, we're dividing by n minus 1 because it's a small sample size. 5 minus 1, you get a variance of 0.0655. And then to find the standard deviation, once again, you see my note up here. The standard deviation is found by taking the square root of the variance. So the square root of 0.0655 is equal to 0.256 or 25.6%. So I want you to do a little bit of practicing using the practice problems on Connect, and this would give you a better sense of whether you understand how to calculate the variance and standard deviation for a sample. And remember, variance and standard deviation are measures of risk or volatility. The greater the volatility, the greater the uncertainty, or the greater the risk. I will also put a link on Canvas for you to learn how to find the variance and standard deviation of a sample using your calculator. So let's go on to the arithmetic and geometric returns. A stock has had returns of 14%, 18%, 26%, 19%, 34%, and negative 9% over the last 6 years. What are the arithmetic and geometric returns for the stock? So you see here, the arithmetic return, you just add these up as we've said before and divide by 6. It's your simple average. So if we do that, we get an arithmetic return of 10.67. For the geometric return, I want you to pay close attention to the geometric return. Remember, we said it's a compound return. So 1.14 times 1.18 times 1.26 times, remember it's negative 19%. So 1 minus or 1 plus minus 0.19 is 0.81 times 1.34 times, once again we have negative 9. So 1 plus negative 0.09 is equal to 0.91 raised to the power of 1 over 6, because we have 6 returns here, minus 1, and that is equal to 8.97%. So once again, class, you want to attempt the practice problems, and if you have any problems with getting through them, then you want to email me where we could have a Zoom meeting. Please ask questions.